Hey guys, I think this has been a long time coming. I've had a couple folks talk about me doing a little rig rundown, and I got this thing into a pretty functional state, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm thinking, maybe now is the time, just to do a quick one. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit of discussion will come out of it. And we can talk about, any particular questions you might have on any of the gear or how any of it works. But I'm going to try and just do a quick one now just to show you the basics. So right off the bat, there you see is my board. Starting on the far side here, you've got a Caroline Olympia fuzz. And I put that at the front of the chain just because fuzzes tend to like it a little bit better when they see the guitar before anything else does. They're kind of expecting that level of signal. And, it's an impedance issue as well. So I know it looks a little bit weird. I've got a fuzz going into a tuner, but that's mostly just to avoid any weirdness because of the fuzz. And just for funsies. Oh, that's right. I forgot. This one doesn't actually light up without a guitar cord plugged in. But anyway, so that's the Olympia fuzz. A hardwire HT2 tuner. Pretty, standard issue tuner pedal. I actually am thinking about replacing this with something a little bit more modern. Maybe a full LED screen instead of this kind of thing where it's got the little, light up, like the little mini LED run or whatever you want to call that. It's not a bad tuner, not the most accurate, but also, still functional. The Warden, that's my compressor, pretty much only comes on for clean tones. That LED is really bright. You can check the settings there. The Peppers pedals, Dirty Tree. This guy is a mean little mother. Very, very tight, very aggressive. Makes all those chugging riffs just sound that much nastier, that much meaner. I really like this pedal. Based off of a TC Electronic integrated preamp. Got a switch here that goes from the TC side where you have use of the low and high knobs, or the DT for Dirty Tree side where the high and low are set at like preset values basically. And it's just like, I don't know, like instant gent, I guess, if you want to think about it that way. But I like having the low knob available to me so I can dial in a little bit more, a little bit less low end. So I tend to keep it in the TC mode. From there, it goes into good old trusty Boss NS2. I'm not running it in the X formation or whatever you want to call it. So I tend to find when most people talk about tone suck from the NS2, it's as a result of them running the X configuration. And what that's basically doing is it's running your amplifier's preamp in the loop of the NS2. And so, I mean, I think, if you think about it that way, you're going to get some high-end roll-off and some stuff like that. So, but because I just run it into the front end, there's maybe ever so slightly a little bit of roll-off on the high end, but honestly, for the most part, it just kind of rolls off some of that fizzy stuff that you might not care for anyways. So perfectly functional noise gate for what I do. I don't really need it most of the time unless like I need, really, really quiet in between like chug parts. Believe it or not, even with all the gain, all the distortion in my sound, really don't use or need a ton of noise gate. The only other, like, I guess, pedal or, stomp box or whatever on my board that isn't just for control is the more Ocean machine. This is a combined reverb, delay, looper pedal. This is Devin Townsend's, I guess, signature pedal with more. It's a cool little unit. You've got, I run it in preset mode because I use MIDI to control my rig. I use MIDI to control both this pedal and the Mesa Mini Matrix over here, and my line 6, or not line 6, my Fractal Audio Axe-FX 3. That the Fractal Audio is run in the loop of that Mesa Boogie Mark III there, and the more is in one of the loops of the Axe-FX, so I can drop it in when I feel like it, or leave it out if I want to. So anyway, this pedal, the Ocean machine, super cool. If I take it out of preset mode for a second, you can see where you've got like a signal chain, basically, of like the looper and the 2 delays and the reverb. And just because I don't want to mess with my presets right now, I'm not going to go through it, but you can actually change where any of those components falls. You can actually run delays in parallel. You can move the reverb to the front, the looper to the back, whatever you want to do. And it's a super cool pedal if you're into creating like ambient, noisy type stuff. It works equally as well as just, really solid delays and a solid reverb, which is mostly how I use it. I have a couple spacey sounds that I like, but for the most part, I use it in a pretty, I guess, conventional way. So you can see the MIDI cables coming out of there, and the underside of this board is a little bit of a mess, but yeah, it's I've got it mostly all held in place. So I mentioned the Mini Matrix. The Mini Matrix is basically, it takes in MIDI commands, and then using those two, it says TRS, but those are actually just TS cables. Using those two normal 1/4-inch cables, it sends controls to the Mark III. And the Mark III is kind of an old school amp, so it really just has, it only has normal like TS style controls. Like it doesn't have like a DIN cable or something like that. And this is I'm not sure how you say, I'm not sure if it's Vos or it's a French company that makes these MIDI controllers, and they're very reasonably priced, and the software allows you to configure them to control a lot of devices. So that's what I use. I got a few different, you can kind of see the Mini Matrix switching as I change channels. Same thing on if I go to the preset mode, you can see as I switch, changes. And the same thing on the Axe-FX. The Axe-FX, I'm not doing anything too crazy with it. For the most part, I'm just running a few extra effects. Like if we look at, I've got phaser, rotary, I've got like a volume patch, for certain things that need volume boosts, because going in between the different channels of this Mesa, sometimes there's a volume imbalance that needs evening out. So, but that's basically, and the Port City cab. That's it, yeah. So the Mesa feeds that Port City, and that has WGS Retro 30 and Veteran 30 speakers, which are, I guess, everything's based off of V30, right? But they're both supposed to be kind of Celestion V30-ish, but I actually prefer the sound of these a lot more. I think they're really, really solid, and for how much they cost, I think they are an unbelievable value. So, and Port City, I think, uses WGS as like their stock speakers that they put in most things. So, yeah, I'm a big fan. The Mesa cab there does have the normal V30s, so I kind of can compare back and forth. I think the WGS stuff is just a little bit sweeter, doesn't have as much of that sizzle, really just loud and just project the sound really well. Just like sweet, great for solo tones. Really, really awesome. So that's about it.